And I'll also share my screen. Welcome everyone. We are on day one of Business Analyst training program. So what we will do today is, or over the next 3 days, okay, let's set the agenda for the next 3 days. Okay, this is a demo series for 3 days. So starting today will be the day one of demo, tomorrow being day two, and then day after tomorrow being the day three of the demo series. So over this demo series, what we will try to do is we'll try to understand what a business analyst actually does, okay, what their roles and responsibilities are at a very high level. Okay. Obviously, this being a demo series, so we don't have to deep dive into the every aspect of work that a BA does. Okay. Now, along with understanding what and who a BA is, we'll also understand what kind of training program Harsha Trainings have curated for the students. Okay. How this training program will be structured, what all topics will be covered during the training program, okay, who this training program is meant for, and what will be the timelines for the training program. So, this first two topics we'll try to cover in the today and tomorrow's demo sessions. Okay. Then on the last day, that is day three, we will try to cover some of the commonly myths around is business analyst and data analyst the same thing. Okay. Basically, what's the difference between a BA and a data analyst? Then what's the difference between a BA and a scrum master? Because often people think that BA being a non-coding role, scrum master is also a non-coding role. So which one seems better? And then the most important one, at the end, we will also cover, since the advent of AI or artificial intelligence, how is it going to shape up the role of a business analyst? Okay. So these four are broadly the topics that we will be covering over the next 3 days. Okay. So let's get started with our first topic. Okay. Now, before we start discussing about who is a business analyst or what they do, okay, I want to understand from you guys as well. If you want, you can speak up. If you want, you can type in your inputs as well. What do you understand from business analysts? Generally, everyone would have done some kind of research before they came for the demo series. Okay, if you can unmute yourself, okay, what do you understand from a business analyst? You see, guys, one thing is there as a business analyst. Let me put up the first point since you guys are all being very silent today. Okay. So a business analyst primarily acts as a liaison between the business side and the technology side. Okay. So business side meaning our client, okay, who is giving us the work. Technology side meaning developers, architects, testers, or testers are also known as QAs, quality analysts, project managers. Okay, you can include different kinds of roles on the technology side. So since you are the medium between two different worlds, what will happen? You obviously will have to communicate. Okay? And how will you communicate? Unless you speak up, how will you communicate? Okay. So business analyst is something that you cannot get away with by not speaking. Okay. If you are a developer, probably you can get away by not speaking much. Okay, because you just have to understand what work needs to be done, do your work, and then go home. Okay. The same thing applies to QAs as well, or testers as well. Okay. But when it comes to BA, okay, you'll have to demonstrate back to your client whatever discussions you had with the client. Okay, you you document those discussions. Okay, ask the developer or technology side people to create the software from it and then give a demo back to the client. Okay, that this is the software we have created based on our discussion. Is this as per your requirements or not? Sometimes even the client will be angry, so you'll have to manage those situations as well. So unless you speak up, okay, it will be difficult for you to do your job effectively as a BA. Okay. So what we often call here is that we engage ourselves in active listening. Okay. So there are two types of listening. One that we all generally do. Okay. That is whenever someone is speaking, just keep quiet, listen whatever they are saying, okay, and then don't ask questions, or specifically don't ask any counter questions, okay. Or the second part is active listening, okay, where you are not just listening to what the other person is saying, but you are actually trying to understand how things are moving forward, okay, and then based on that, you are asking questions as well. Okay, so active listening is more of driving a conversation rather than following instructions. Okay, I'll just write it here. Engaging in a conversation. Okay. Now, as a BA, another thing that you will have to be demonstrating is stakeholder management skills. Okay. Obviously, when you talk to a number of people, you see the number of people involved with whom you will be talking. Okay. So obviously, you will be talking to a lot of people from diverse backgrounds. Client being completely focused on improving their business, they have very little inclination towards technology. That what technology are you going to use? How are you going to use? Whether you will be creating my software using Java, whether you use Python, whether you use something else, I don't care. This is the software I want, and this is what I should get. Okay. Then on the technology side, people where coders, developers, or programmers, they're highly focused towards coding. Okay. Then testers being focused towards testing the application to ensure that the appropriate quality is maintained. Architects, they're highly focused about designing the application, and project managers about ensuring that everyone is doing their job effectively. So you obviously have to interact with a wide variety of people from different or diverse backgrounds. Okay. So when you interact with people from diverse backgrounds, you obviously will have to have good stakeholder management skills. Okay. There are multiple things that falls into stakeholder management skills, like, having good communication skills. And when I say good communication skills, I do not mean having good English. Okay. Even a normal English would work. Okay. But something that demonstrates your confidence, something that demonstrates your ability to express your ideas, okay? Something that demonstrates that you are able to understand other person's ideas as well. Okay? So basically, communication should not act as a barrier between your work. So if you are someone who has good communication skills, you at least have one less thing to worry about. Okay? Second one, be proactive. Okay. So oftentimes what happens is it's a human tendency that we work in reactive mode. Okay. We work in reactive mode. That means if I ask you something, you respond to me. Okay. If something has gone wrong, then we try to fix it. Okay. But whereas what is more advisable is that as a BA, because you will be working as an individual contributor mainly, so you should not wait for something to go wrong. For example, I'll give you a simple example from the IT. So suppose you have been assigned a task and the deadline that you were given is for 3 days. That in 3 days you have to finish your task. Okay? Day one is coming to end and you did not even make a progress. Okay? Now you are left with only 2 days to finish your job. You know that you cannot finish your job in 2 days. Okay? You still need one more day. Okay? So being proactive, okay, what you do is you let your managers know about it proactively that I was engaged in some other activities today, so I could not start the work. I'll start the work tomorrow, but it will be delayed. Okay, so I'll need one more extra day to finish off this task. So that what you did is rather than people identifying on day three when they ask you, did you complete your task? And then on day three, you say, no, I did not complete my task. Give me one more day and then I'll finish it off. So what happens is in this scenario, you reacted to a question, you provided an update on day three, which will obviously irritate your managers as well. That what were you doing for the last 2 days? Why are you giving me this update that you cannot finish your work on the last day only? Okay. So this is scenario one where you wait for people to ask for an update and then give them update on the last day or basically give them surprises. On the other hand, being proactive means on the day one when I realize that I'll not be able to do the task on time, I let the managers know upfront. Okay? I talk to them, I create some plan on how we can get this done. Okay? So that there are less surprises at the end. The same applies when we are ready to give demo to client. Okay? Whatever software we create after doing internal review, we go for a client demo. Okay. So we show the software to the client and then ask for their feedback, what they think. Okay. Suppose I set up next Monday as the demo with client. Okay. And then on Monday, just before the demo, I tell the client, sorry, we are not ready. Can we please postpone our meeting? Again, giving the last minute surprise. Okay. So no one likes having the last minute surprises, especially if that surprise is a negative one. So, one attitude shift we need to have is rather than working as in a reactive mode, we have to start working in a proactive mode. Okay? If you see something is not going as planned, you communicate upfront. Okay? Then the point that I mentioned above is active listening, engaging in a conversation rather than silently listening all the time only. Okay? You need to ask questions as well. You need to ask lot of questions. Okay? Then quick learner, you can say. So a lot of us actually who are trying to get into BA, one thing we have to do is we need to have good industry knowledge. We need to have good industry knowledge. A BA is often known for their industry knowledge. So suppose if I am going to work for HDFC Bank, okay, so I should have a good banking domain knowledge. Or suppose if I am going to work for, let's say, some mutual fund company, then I should have good knowledge with respect to the mutual fund industry. If I am going to work in health insurance sector, I should have good knowledge about health insurance as well. Now, industry knowledge is something that you cannot build in 1 or 2 days. It is something that will take time. Okay? Even for me also, when I started working in US health insurance sector, took me almost 2 years to build a good health insurance sector knowledge for the US markets. So it will take time, but that should be one of your focus while you start your journey as a BA, that at some point in time, I need to have good domain or industry knowledge. Okay. A good domain or industry knowledge will further enhance your skills, will further make sure that you are doing your job efficiently. Okay. If you think you can keep your BA and industry knowledge separate, that's not how it is going to work. You can always start your work with basic knowledge. Okay. And you can always acquire basic knowledge through multiple sources. Okay. You can always look through online videos on YouTube. Okay. Take up some short training or courses on short trainings on LinkedIn Learning or Udemy, okay, to build your basic knowledge or something to start with, okay, foundational knowledge. And then as you start your work as a BA, you build on top of it. Okay. You further enhance your knowledge, you further improve your knowledge. Okay. Now, these are some of the essential things for you to get started as a BA. Okay. And these will actually form the basis of prerequisites as well. People often ask, what are the prerequisites that we must fulfill in order to start as a BA? Okay. Or what domain knowledge or what industrial knowledge we should have to get started as a BA. Now, if you are particularly interested about financial sector, banking sector, mutual funds, wherever you are applying for job in whichever industry, you can always take some of the online videos or short trainings here to build the basic knowledge, foundational knowledge, so that you can get started in that particular sector alone. Okay. Now, I hope this overview is clear what generally a BA is expected to do and what kind of skills they must possess. I'll take the silence as yes, and then let's move forward. Okay. So a BA will not only does these things, okay, a BA does lot many things as well. Okay. For example, documenting requirements, okay, coordinating with teams, identifying dependencies, preparing release notes, requirement prioritization. Yeah, BA will be involved in all these activities as well that we will deep dive into the training program. Okay. Now let's switch slides. So yeah, so let's start from here. Okay. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to see what are the different topics that will be covered in the course. Okay. What kind of preparation activities like helping you prepare your resume other than the technical topics that we'll be covering. So all the technical topics that will be covered will be in the course content. Okay, all the supplementary activities like preparing your resume, what you should do as a BA versus what you should not do as a BA, and also preparing you for interviews will come under the preparation activities. And then at the last, we'll see about the certification details, like what certifications you'll get from us, plus what external certifications are available, which are not covered as part of this training program. So first of all, we'll start with the trainer introduction. So you have, my name is Rahul Dubey. Now, I have been in the industry for almost 14 years now, 14 years and 5 months now. So I started my journey as a developer. So for the first 3 years, I was with Accenture into development background, coding into Java applications. Okay. Then gradually I moved into BA side of the world. Okay. Right now I am working as a product manager in a US health insurance based company. Okay. Now when I started, we were particularly focusing a lot on the waterfall methodology. Okay. Then gradually the industry shifted towards the agile way of doing work. So I have extensive knowledge about how waterfall works, how agile methodology works, and we will be covering that as well during our training program as well. Now, along with this, okay, we will also be moving forward to understand what different topics we should be covering. Okay. So we have already discussed about what a BA will do. So you will be acting as a liaison. Okay. You'll be acting as a problem solver, facilitator, and advisor. Now let's understand what this problem solver means. So you see, when I told you about that, we have to move away from being reactive to proactive person. Okay. So essentially we are trying to do is we are trying to identify solutions to a problem. Okay. Say for example, if I tell you that we have to go for a vacation in Goa. Okay. Suppose my budget is 10,000. So you will definitely have some people who will say 10,000 Goa, not at all possible. Okay. So they will outrightly say that the budget is very small. You will not be able to enjoy. There is no point in going to Goa. Okay. That's one mindset, being reactive. Okay. Finding problems in every opportunity. The second mindset is actually providing a workaround or a solution. Okay, you have 10,000 budget. Maybe you can instead of going for a bus or a flight, maybe you can go for a train. Okay, it will take time. Train will take more time to take you to Goa, but it will still fit in your budget. Okay. Then once you get into Goa, instead of if you have some friend, some known person there, you can stay with them so that you can save on accommodation. Or if you don't know anyone, look for a cheaper accommodation, probably something like a hostel or a PG, rather than trying to stay in a hotel room. Okay. Again, it will save you more money, so it will fit within your budget. Okay. So what a BA will do is something similar. Okay. It will identify what the problem is and then how can we go around it. Okay. It's not necessary that every time you have to find a solution. If you know the solution, if you know a workaround, well and good. If you don't know it, you probably have to engage people, okay, which is where your facilitator skills comes in. You have to engage people in a conversation. While you engage people in a conversation, often people will try to deviate from the topic. They will try to present more problems. Okay? But your focus should be clear that we are heading towards a solution. Okay? That may not be the ideal solution, but given the budget, given the constraints, okay, this is what we can do best for our clients. So going back to our Goa vacation example, when you tell someone that you have to go and live in a shared accommodation in a hostel or you have to go via train, they may not like it, but given their budget of 10,000 Indian rupees, that's what can be offered best to them. So either you increase your budget, okay, and save on time, or you actually, if you are tight on budget, then you follow the advice that I am giving you. Okay. So again, if you know the solutions, well and good. If you don't know the solution, you be the facilitator, engage with your team in a workshop or discussions, and then direct them to find the solutions. Okay. Now again, this is further explanation, the technical parts that we discussed, like as a BA, you'll be involved in the requirement gathering and analysis. You'll be focusing on requirement documentations. You'll be focusing upon stakeholder management, process analysis and improvement. Okay. And the coordination part that we talked about. So you'll be coordinating with the QA team, quality assurance team or testers to ensure that we are testing the software in the right way. Okay. You'll be coordinating with the different stakeholders to ensure that everyone is on the same page with respect to what needs to be delivered. You also need to ensure that once a software has been developed, we give a demo to the client so that we get their feedback as well. If there are any changes, further changes needed, we work with the team to again implement those changes. So this one, coordination with multiple teams across, and this one is your initial processes. Okay. So a BA is like the first person in the entire IT team, you can say, which will kickstart the work. So unless you gather the requirements, unless you talk to client, unless you gather requirement, the subsequent members like architects, developers, QA, they will not be engaged at all. Okay. Everyone is dependent on the requirement. So as a BA, you engage with client, you get the requirement, you document the requirement, and that will be used as basis for the other team members, like architects to create design, developers to write code, testers to do the test planning activities and all that. Okay. Now, any questions so far before we actually jump forward? Any questions so far that you guys might have? Well, looks like either you are able to understand everything so far, or maybe you are reserving your questions for the last minute. So either ways, it's okay. I'll take the silence as no questions. Now, like I was talking earlier about the prerequisites for the training. Okay. So I said if you can demonstrate these skills effectively, okay, you are good to get started. Okay. So do you need any experience within the IT sector to actually switch to BA? That will be a wonderful thing. If you are already someone who understands software development aspects, whether you worked as a developer, tester, project manager, scrum master, an architect, okay, whichever domain you worked on, okay, if you are someone who understands software development, obviously it will be an added advantage. But if you are someone who is not familiar with software development, don't worry. Okay. The way we have structured our training program, we will start with the very basics first. Okay. So first 5 to 7 classes will be completely focusing upon building the basics to understand what software development is. Okay, what are the different people that might be involved in the software development, how it happens, what are the different phases involved, okay? And then we move ahead. So if you are someone who already understands, well and good. If you are not someone who understands, we'll start with the very basics. Okay? Again, what kind of degree you should be having. Okay? So generally, the IT company jobs pretty much revolve around having degrees related to either BTech, BE or BTech, ME or MTech, okay, MCAs, MBA. Okay. So generally, these kind of technical degrees are given much more preference in IT. I'm not saying these are the only degrees that people look for, but these are given preference over other degrees in IT sector. Okay. So if you have some degree on BCom only, okay, so a BE BTech person will get preference over a BCom. Okay. I'm not saying there will not be any job for BCom. There will be, okay, and that again depends on the demand as well. Okay, but companies like to, it's a hidden thing. They will not say it openly or publicly, but there will be definitely preference given. Now, if you are someone who is working into a BPO, a KPO, or in IT itself, but in other domains, okay, if you are in sales, whichever domain you are in, you can obviously try for a BA as long as you have these highlighted skills. Okay, as long as you have these basic skills to start with, you can always feel comfortable being a BA. Okay. Rest all parts, how to how to engage yourself in conversations with client, with technical people, how do we document requirement, how do we identify dependencies, all these points will be covered during the training program. Okay. Now, before we jump on to myths, okay, let me give you a brief introduction to the type of work we have in IT. Okay. Now, generally, there are two type of work. One is particularly focusing on software development. The other one you can say is particularly revolving around usage of data. Okay. So you have fields like data analysis or data analytics, data engineering, data science, okay, and preparing reports from the data. Okay. So generally, the entire type of work in IT is divided into two parts. Okay. One is the actual software development. So say for example, I have this notepad. Okay. So this notepad is nothing but a software and I'm using the software. So someone would have actually written a code to create this notepad software. Okay. Similarly, you have Microsoft Word or this particular Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay. So someone would have actually written a code to create this software, and I am using this software for a specific purpose. Okay. So that's the same thing that applies in the software development as well. Okay. Where you build a product to achieve an objective or to automate a task, whatever it be. Okay. Say, for example, when we want to book movie tickets, okay, so you might probably use an application that can help you book movie tickets so that I don't have to travel all the way to the theater or the cinema, go there, go to the ticket counter, then ask for the availability of tickets, and if nothing is available, come back empty handed. Okay. So I don't want to go through that entire ordeal. So what I'll do is I'll rather sit at my home and from the comfort of my home, try to book tickets online. Okay. So by doing booking tickets online, what are we trying to do? We are trying to automate things. Okay. So a software development can involve like creating a software for either to automate something, okay, or to solve a complex problem which is difficult to do manually. Yeah. So when you are someone who is actively involved as a business analyst in the software development sector, okay, all these things will hold good. Okay. But when you are someone who is particularly working on data related projects, okay, that is when you need to have skills like SQL, Python, okay, data warehouse, then yeah, data visualization. Okay. Yeah. Because there is not lot of work on the data side. When I say not lot of work, I don't mean that there is no work at all, but you don't need to have a bigger team for working on the data side. Okay. So the actual software development will help consumers or users achieve a task. Okay. While achieving the task, you will gather the data. For example, you log into Amazon. Okay. So the basic software or the product of Amazon will help you search for something, search for an item, then you can apply discounts, you can check for availability of item, you can add it to cart, you can make payment, and your order is placed. Okay. So that's what the basic software will do. It will help you buy some things on Amazon. Okay. Now, while you are executing the task, your data will be collected. Like who is the user, what is their user ID, what is their mobile number, what product are they buying, how often are they buying. Okay. So your all the data will be used by the data analytics team to generate insights. Okay. That's when you will see lot of customized emails coming to you. Suppose if you are someone who is always searching about mobile phones, okay, so you will see lot of marketing emails from Amazon on mobile phones or discounts. Okay. If you are someone who is constantly searching about different books to read, you will see a lot of emails on books. How? Because the regular software development collected your data. Based on that data, this data analytics team will decide, okay, what type of product can be pushed. Okay. So when you are generating insights in the initial days, you may require a bigger team to set up the data pipeline to build the system. But once the system is up and running, you don't need lot of people on the data side. Okay. You can manage with a handful of people as well. Whereas when it comes to software development, since either new feature, new business requirements or enhancements will keep on coming. So particularly there is a heavy focus on building a proper team over here. Now, generally, I advise all the BAs to be in software development. Okay. This is where our training program is also focusing upon that you will be working on the software development part. Now, if you are someone who is particularly focused on data, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, so those kind of things, then you should look for work in the data analytics side, okay, and not a BA. Okay. Now, with that background, let's come back over here. Okay. So, what are the common myths about business analysts? That as a BA, do I require a coding background? Absolutely no. Okay. So, when you are part of software development, you will have a dedicated programmer, developer, okay, or coder, whatever you can call them, okay, whatever the appropriate role in the organization is, okay, they are responsible for writing code. Okay. As a BA, you don't have to write code for them. Whereas when you are on the data side, like I said, because there are not, suppose if you are working on a team that is already that has already done the basic setup and everything, then you may be required to generate reports using Power BI. It may not involve lot of coding, but still some tool you may be required to write some SQLs as well. Okay, but over here it's a non-coding role. It doesn't mean that you cannot learn coding. Given your interest, you can definitely go ahead with the coding part as well. Okay. The second is technical background. Okay. So, do I require any technical background as well? Okay. So, people often consider technical background equals to coding. Okay. But this is not true actually. Okay. So, being technical has nothing to do with coding. Okay. So, what it means is being technical is not equal to coding. Okay. So, being technical means being technical means that you should be able to understand the system, underlying technologies, okay, and provide solutions. Okay. Like I said again, suppose if this is the notepad, okay, this is the software in front of you. So what we should be doing is go through what different options are available. What happens with each of these options that you see up over here. Okay. How this software might have been built. Okay. What does this different options do over here? So, because generally what happens is, whichever company you go, almost every company will make you work on a software that is already existing. Probably it was created 40, 50 years back or 30 years back, and now we are making enhancements or changes to it, or we are redesigning it. But the software is existing. Very rarely you will see a work from the scratch where you are trying to build a completely new system. Because most of the time it is about working on an existing system. So you should be able to understand how that system functions. What is my upstream? Okay, how am I receiving the data? Then what is it that I am doing? Once my process is complete, then what happens after? Okay. So what comes before before me? What am I doing in my system? And then what happens after me? Okay. These three things is where our focus should be as a BA. Then only, again, I'm not saying that you should try to understand the code of how to transfer data. No. If you understand that, okay, some external vendor is sending me a file, in that file there will be customer details present. I will take the customer details and verify their email IDs and phone number, whether they are already present on my system or not. Okay. Once I have verified, then I will send them marketing emails. Okay. After sending them marketing emails, I'll follow up with them if they are truly interested in buying something. Okay. So as a BA, my focus is to understand the process, the system. I don't have to worry about how am I getting file. Okay. Sorry, which technology is being used to transfer file between the vendor and my IT system. Okay. Am I using simple uh, like HTTPS or SMTP or any other mail transfer protocol? What am I using? To be honest, behind the scenes, make very little sense to us as BA. But what the entire process is, that should be your focus. Okay. Then what technologies are involved at a very high level? Am I using an SQL to build the software? Am I using Java, Python, some other programming language to build the software? And then why did we choose that particular technology? Okay, you can always ask your architects, developers, okay, whoever is from the technical side, like why did we select only this technology? What other options we have? Okay. Suppose if you have options of Java and Python, so why did we select Java? Is there a particular reason behind Java? Is it something that could have been done using Python as well? Okay. So I'm not trying to learn Python or Java. I'm just trying to understand, given my scenario, given my situation, why did we choose Java over Python? Okay. So that I can understand the particular system, the software that was built, and why it was built in a given technology only. Okay. So that my subsequent solutions can be built on the basis of the knowledge that I am acquiring. Okay. Solution can only come into picture once you have a fair understanding of how the system operates and what's the technologies involved. Okay. Without basic knowledge, you cannot provide a solution at all. Okay. And the next one is, a fresher cannot be a BA. Okay. So for this one, I would like to tell anyone like who is listening, like right now, or maybe listening to this recorded version on YouTube. Okay, if you are a complete fresher, okay, what do I mean by complete fresher? Like someone who is graduating in the year 2025, or let's say you graduated in the year 2024, but have no prior work experience. Okay. Now, if you are someone who is a complete fresher, I would advise you not to get into BA role immediately. Okay. Rather than that, you should look for any internship opportunities. Okay. Use your internship as an experience and then come back into BA world. Okay. If you are a complete fresher meaning if you are graduating in 2025 or you graduated in 2024 but you have no work experience. When I say no work experience means forget about BA, you don't have experience into other domains as well. Okay. So in that case, you should look for internship opportunities before actually applying for jobs. Now, why that happens is a BA is a client facing role. Okay. And companies are little reluctant to give a client facing role to a complete fresher. You have to manage client. You have to ensure that clients remain happy with the work we are doing. So they obviously look for some type of experience. Now, on the other hand, if you are someone who has 2 year experience, 3 year experience, but into non-IT, okay, that is okay. We can always, craft our resume in a way, we can gather the required knowledge, we can craft our resume in a way to demonstrate appropriate knowledge and then try again. Okay. But this point is only applicable for complete freshers. When I say freshers who have no work experience at all in any type of industry. Okay? Not just IT, but non-IT as well. They don't have any experience. If you are such a candidate, then I would advise you to go for internship first before you start applying for any jobs on BA side. Okay? Then this is brief about our course content. Okay? So, like I said, our first week will be particularly focusing upon the business analyst introduction. Okay. So, we will be talking about things like SDLC, what is software development life cycle, what are the different people that are involved in the software development life cycle, how the software development happens, how the IT industry operates. Okay. So we know that most of our candidates they come from non-IT background, okay, who want to transition into IT. So we need to give them a brief overview about IT industry, the software development life cycle, all that. So we'll spend about 1 week duration, okay, like I said, 5 to 7 days on the business analyst introduction part. Okay. Then as we set the basics, okay, then we will move into more focused topics, more focused and technical topics, wherein your skills will be required. So things like we'll start with stakeholder management. Okay. So how do you manage different stakeholders? Okay. Then how do you talk to stakeholders to gather your requirements? Yeah, once you are gathering requirements, what are the different types of activities that you need to take into consideration? Like should I be, what kind of documents do I need to create? How do I prioritize requirements? How do we create flow charts for the requirement that we have written? Okay. How do we communicate the requirement with our team, with our clients? What should happen after the requirement is documented? How can we get changes to the existing requirements? Okay. So that will be our next line of focus. Then we will move on to the agile or the scrum side. Okay? Because like I said, a lot of organizations are working in the agile mode or scrum mode. So we should be knowing about the scrum framework. So again, we will spend 2 to 3 days to get an overview of what scrum is. Again, these two overview sessions on scrum are not supposed to make you scrum master. Okay. So don't think that We will explain to you the Scrum framework in exact detail that you will start performing the role of a Scrum Master. Okay, that's not going to happen. These are more of overviews to set the foundation of what Scrum is, how things operate in Scrum, so that as a BA, when you join any IT company that is following Scrum framework, you don't feel uncomfortable over there. Now, all these topics that we will be going through, okay, we have placed assignments or exercises at the appropriate instances. Okay. So what happens is, let's say we study the topic of requirement elicitation. Okay. So there will be an assignment on that so that you can go back, practice, and then come back with questions. Okay. There's no point in just delivering a theoretical lecture where you don't get to practice. Okay, unless you practice, you will never know what doubts you are facing, what questions you are having. Sometimes we get the questions upfront, sometimes we get the questions when we start doing our work. Okay, so we are open for both. If during a lecture you have any questions, you are welcome to ask your questions. If not, there will be assignments. You go through those assignments. Once you go through the assignment, maybe you will have some more questions. Okay. So how we have structured this entire training program is, okay, every day we will give time for the previous lecture questions. Okay. So for first 5 to 10 minutes, okay, these are for any Q&A that you might have from the previous class. Okay. Then for the next 40 to 45 minutes, okay, is for the current day's topic. And then again, remaining time is for the Q&A again. Okay. It doesn't mean that you cannot ask questions in between here. You can definitely ask, but we are also keeping some reserved time for Q&A as well. Okay. So if you have any question which is not related to the topic, suppose if I am going to talk about requirement modeling today, but you have a question that is completely different from requirement modeling. Okay? You can use this remaining time to ask your question and answers. Okay. So every session starts with the first 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A. Okay, that will be based out of previous class, that will be based out of assignments that have been given to you. Okay. If you don't have any Q&A from previous class or assignments, we directly jump on to current day's topic. Okay. In between also you'll get an opportunity to ask questions, and then the remaining time, the last 5 to 10 minutes, is again reserved for any questions that you might have related to topic or non-related to topic. Okay. That's how we are going to structure our class every day. Okay. Plus every day I'll be writing down running notes like how I am doing. Okay. These running notes will not capture each and everything. Okay. These running notes will only capture the important points. Okay. And these notes will be shared to you via Google Classroom. So for everyone who is part of the training program, a Google Classroom link will be set up, and all these notes will be shared via Google Classroom. Plus, every day's session will be recorded. Every session will be recorded, which will be shared to you via Google Drive. So now you will have recordings, you will have sessions as well. Sorry, you will have recordings and notes as well. Okay. Now, what is again expected is, as a BA, you must get into the habit of taking notes. Okay. If you want to do your job efficiently, you should get into the habit of taking notes. Why? Because like we discussed in the early part of our demo today, you will be part of lot of meetings. Okay. It will not be possible for you as well to remember what you discussed in every meeting. Okay. Suppose you are involved in 5 meetings in a day. Okay. Maybe today you will remember what you discussed in all the 5 meetings, but after 1 week, chances are you may not remember what exactly was discussed. Okay. So for every meeting, we try to take notes. Okay. Again, notes you can follow like how I'm taking running notes. You don't have to record each and everything. Notes means the important points only. Okay. These notes will help you remember what you discussed in the meetings and what follow-up action items are needed. Okay. Sometimes what happens is in a meeting you discuss that we need one more meeting because this was not enough. It was only half an hour session. We could discuss only few points. We need one more meeting to discuss. We know we need 1 hour meeting to discuss points in more detail. Okay. But suppose you did not take note and you forget to set up meeting. After 10 days, the client asks you, you did not set up the follow-up meeting. Now, after 10 days, you set up a follow-up meeting. But what happened? During that time, 10 days were lost. Okay. If you have notes at the end, before you log off, before you shut down your laptop, you can go through the notes to see what action items you have to take. What, which meetings were you part of? What was discussed in those meetings? And what action item you need to take so that before you log off, you can appropriately take action and then log off. Okay. So get into the habit of taking notes as well. That is expected from the expectation from the students. Okay. See, I'm giving you I'll right throughout the training program, I'll give you very small but actionable inputs. Okay. If you follow along, these will really help you. When I started my journey as a BA, I was trying to remember most of the thing. Then soon I realized because I'm trying to remember a lot of things, I'm not making notes. So I'm skipping on a lot of things like setting up meetings. Okay. Or sometimes we discussed a requirement, but because I did not capture it in notes, I forgot updating the requirement document. So once I started making these mistakes, then I realized that one very simple, effective way to come around all these issues is make notes. If I make notes and then at the end of the day, before I sign off, before I log out, before I shut down my system, I'll go through the notes. What notes have I prepared today and what actions do I need to take so that I'm well prepared for today. So that I'm well prepared for tomorrow as well. Okay. Now we will stop over here. Okay. And we will continue with a remaining topic like what tools are we going to cover as part of this training program. Okay, we'll start from here. What tools are we going to learn? And then we will continue on remaining topics like how much time it will take to cover this entire training program, what you can expect to learn once this training is all over. Okay. Like I said, what kind of preparation activities you will be involved with, and the certifications part. What external certifications are available that you can appear for after taking this training program? What certifications will you get from us as well? Okay. And with these topics, we will then move on to the remaining agenda. That is, what's the difference between a BA and a data analyst, BA and Scrum Master, how AI or artificial intelligence is going to impact the work that we are doing. So, any questions? Let me check in the chat box if any questions are posted. Nothing there. Okay, so I'll take the silence as no questions. Well, thank you everyone for attending day one of the demo. We'll be connecting tomorrow at 8 a.m. again for the day two of the demo. We'll continue with a topic on tools for business analyst. Okay, thank you.